All right, guys. Today I'm going to do a deep conversation with a student of mine who has taken back control of her fitness, her body, and life on this 12-week program, and the things that she's achieved are truly amazing and deserve a big kudos. So I'm going to go ahead and invite her, and
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
loud and clear.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You took your fitness, your confidence, your body, your that pep that everybody wants back on this program since you started. So I just want you to share a little bit about what is it that you were feeling prior to getting on this program, and what have you accomplished in just a matter of 12 weeks? If you can just share a little bit on that.
Sure. Um, I like that term that you use, pep in your step.
Yes, I like that pep. Everybody wants a little pep. Come on.
Everybody wants a little pep. I think I was looking for a little bit of pep actually. Before I started the program. I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. Not in my day-to-day routine. Um, Felt like I had lost a bit of that pep.
Okay.
And certainly I think life happens and we get adjusted to our regular routine. We think like this is how it's going to be now. I have a life and responsibilities and this is it.
Yeah.
Um, but then there's like some part of you that goes a bit missing. And I think I found a bit of that on my journey here.
Okay. Excellent. Now you're on this 12-week mainly strength training program that I designed for you. And the whole approach of coaching on this program is to help all of us get our confidence and our strength back. And really, I'm a big believer in strength. So let me ask you something. Since you've done this strength training program for 12 weeks, tell me like the top three things that you've noticed in your body. And then I'll ask you the same questions for your mindset.
Definitely notice a difference in my strength, my muscle tone, um, significantly than before. I also just feel better, you know, because of regular movement. I don't really wake up with aches and pains. I
Mhm.
feel good in my body every day I wake up. It's like I'm feeding it what it needs.
Mhm.
So those are the different changes I've seen in my body, um, with my muscle and how I can move and how I feel, which make a noticeable difference for me every day.
What have you noticed about your mindset?
Oh, a lot has been going on there. It's changed, and I think it's grown. I know it's grown because of the way I approach my workouts now. Is certainly very different than when I started. I started even before I was training with you. I think in another video I said I started this pretty small to build smaller habits. But then when I started the program, it was a bit more of than what I was used to. Right, I'm doing a lot more training and training my body differently. Right, I'm doing muscle building, strength exercises that maybe my body hadn't done in a while. So I had to get used to it, and that's not just like your muscles have to get used to it. You have to mentally get used to that.
Mm.
So it involves discipline, working out even though you don't feel like it, or putting in the effort, um, even though that day maybe you've had a long day or a stressful day,
Yeah.
or doing something where um, each time I know I've given it 100% or close to 100% that day of what I can do. So I think that has shifted in my mindset to, oh, I don't want to do this, to, okay, I'm going to approach this and do what I can today. Let's see how it goes.
Started small, and then obviously I didn't plan the workout that you have now 12 weeks later in your first week, right? Because I had to build your strength, I had to build you up, and your commitment level. But here's the question. Is your confidence to your commitment level, your fitness, your strength increased now 12 weeks later because you've been sticking to something?
Yes, for
Is
sure.
that Okay, so the follow-up is, do you still need to somehow like give yourself that motivational pep talk that we all do before, before we go hit the gym, or before we do those single leg squats, or before we do those push-ups and bands? Like there's always that dialogue like, another day, I don't feel like doing it, but if I quit, I'm gonna regret it, so I better go. Like, do you still have to do that? And if you do, is it less than before?
It's much less than before, like much less. I don't think I approach that. It's never like that anymore, except for maybe a few days where I'm like, I don't want to do this today. And some days are like that where I don't feel like doing it, and that's okay. But I'll do something. But it's a lot less than what I started 12 weeks ago. Yeah. I look forward to putting in that time for myself.
Yeah.
Versus not wanting to start at all.
Right. But so here's the thing, you're 12 weeks more experienced by this confidence and fitness program, but what's your takeaway, or what's your advice for someone who is your 12-week younger version of you?
Okay. I think it comes down to values. Like, what do you value? Do you value yourself enough to put yourself first at least some part of the day? Because if it doesn't matter to you, then you're not going to do it. If that part, if you don't understand that maybe training your body is also training your mind, and that there is a connection there, then you might not see it as important. So my advice is, look at your values, look at why you're doing it, and then go from there. Because if you don't look at what you value, if this is not something that you value, so this is not important to you, then it'll be a lot less. If you're just focused on one outcome, and let's say you want to lose 20 pounds, or if you just want to, I don't know, go down a couple of jean sizes, that's a great goal to have. But at the same time, it's a whole journey and a process towards going to that goal. And it's about doing like the smaller steps towards reaching that goal, if that makes sense, that matter more than maybe just the outcome itself.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think you touched on like you have to know your why, but at the same time you've got to figure out taking the little steps every day to get there. Because here's the thing, as human beings, we all want to look better and we all want to feel better. That's just a no-brainer, right? But the question is, what can someone do when they're like, okay, well, how, coach? Like, how do I? Yeah, great. I want to look better. I want to feel better. That's a given. But how do I do that? And I think you got to break it down into small steps.
Yeah. It's really about the small habits that you build, and the willingness to put in the effort to actually complete those small habits. And then start there. And then it just gets a little bit easier every day.
Yeah. Let me ask you a trick question. But what if you did not have me as your coach holding you accountable and guiding you to the step of the way? Would the small steps still help you get to the amount of progress, the strength and the muscle tone you're building right now, and the whole mindset shift right now at this level?
No, I don't think so.
So
it would take a lot longer for sure.
Right. But so what's the advice from you for another woman who says, well, I want to feel better, I want to look better, I want to build that strength and tone, and I want to have my mindset transformed, but I don't want an accountability coach?
How much do you want to win?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me ask someone who's listening right now. Any questions? Hang on a second, because I've got two very interesting questions for you. Okay, so while we wait for that, I'm going to ask you a question. And I want you to get real with me and tell me, what two limited beliefs have you dropped since you started this program on fitness and confidence?
Okay. Um, the first one is I don't have the time,
Okay.
because I think that's just an excuse, and it's one that I used to use a lot. I think it's a pretty common one. I don't have the time to put in the effort that it's going to take to make me feel better today. It's essentially what I used to tell myself,
Wait,
because life is busy, right?
you you told yourself I don't have the time to make myself feel better, or did you just
No,
internally
I
tell
just
yourself?
said that now, but I would say I don't have the time. I
Okay.
don't have that time. I don't have, because when I do something, and maybe this is just true for me, but I want to do everything. I want to do like 45 minutes or 1 hour. But the reality is that, like, when I first started, I couldn't do that. And I think it was like a part of me that had to accept that reality of, okay, I don't have time for all of this, but maybe I have time for a little bit. So that was something where I had to accept, like, okay, this is where I can start.
Mm.
And this is how I'm going to do this. So I had to approach it from that mindset, and not just, I don't have time and it's really overwhelming, and just dismiss it. So that's one of the things that has changed a lot since I've started the program,
Gotcha.
um, because now I make the time, because I know what I'm going to do, and I know my achievable goal at the end of that workout, what that's going to look like. So that has changed a lot. I don't use that excuse anymore, unless maybe really, really I don't have the time. But no, I make the time. And then the second one would be, um, this was a big one for me. As long as I put everybody else first, it's okay to put myself last.
And
As long as, I take care of everything else first, like my kid, my work, my family, um, even my friends, it's okay to put myself last that day, or whatever other commitment I have going on. And that's shifted a lot, because I guess since I built the discipline into making the time for myself first, it changed the way in how I showed up with the rest of the day.
mm,
I think I've learned that, if you don't choose how you want to show up, somebody else will choose that for you.
yeah.
So I approach it pretty differently now. I choose the way I want to show up based on, okay, this is the time I'm going to put in, and this is the kind of outcome that I want to look at today. This is the kind of attitude I want today. Um, and I pick that first before I show up for anybody else.
Hmm. Yeah, very, very powerful. I mean, I was just having a conversation with another student on the program, and they're like, at the end of a long, stressful day at work, I don't feel like working out. And I made a video about that. And I think you have to decide on how you want to show up, because the whole world, your external factors will decide how you show up if you let them. Right, your circumstance, like we already know, it could be a situation in your personal life, it could be a situation in your professional life, it could just be your biochemistry. Like, who says we're supposed to feel awesome every day and wake up feeling awesome? Feeling awesome every day is a decision you got to make. You got to say, I want to feel awesome today, so I will do my 30-minute workout and feel strong today, and that will dictate the day, versus let the environment come in. And like, I'll touch on this. Most people that come to me for coaching come to me because something is not working well in their life, whether it's their fitness or confidence. They just don't know how to get there. And that's why coaches help. And it's through that suffering that leads us to seek out help. That is the gateway to become a better, stronger version of yourself. So I always tell my advanced students who are ready to receive this life coaching is, if you are suffering and if you know that you need to do something, that actually is your blessing in disguise, because you've got to take that by your hand and say, hey, I want to do better because my suffering is going to allow me to lead to better pastures. Does that make sense?
Yeah, in a sense. It's kind of like you know that the problem is within you, so you can find the solution.
Yeah, exactly. Let me ask you your last question. Since you started this fitness and confidence program, you've already told me that two limited belief systems that you've dropped. But what is the next limited belief system that you are trying to drop, but you haven't quite figured out how to drop it, or you're working on figuring it out? You know?
Yeah. So there is a couple here, but I think the one that makes the most sense, not just like in my fitness life, but maybe elsewhere too, is that I keep thinking growth is just like this. It's just a straight line upwards, right? It's like
Mm,
when you're growing, you just keep going up. But um, as I keep growing, I find that that's not true. And maybe it's just like it looks like a little bit of a zigzag, and then maybe you fall down, and then maybe you keep going. But it's definitely just not a linear path, you know. Um, I'm finding that a lot, and sometimes maybe that means um, you have to like slow down a little bit to get where you're going. But it doesn't mean you're not gonna get there. Just, you know, sometimes you have a setback, and that's okay. Um,
mm.
as long as you keep putting one foot in front of the other, like you're gonna get there. But it just may not be as fast or as quick as you think it's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. Growth is definitely not linear. It could be the difference between you doing 10 push-ups versus 11 tomorrow. It could be the difference between you showing up today, the fourth day in a row for your 10-minute workout, or it could be that one, thing that you're grateful for in your journal that you write, but somebody else is writing an entire journal as a self-published author. Growth to us all comes in different capacities, ranges, volume, size, and in manners, right? So, yeah. Okay. Well, excellent. Thank you so much for joining me. And, very proud of the work you're putting on. My purpose as a coach is only to see you become a much, much, much greater version of yourself. This is what you're feeling right now after 12 weeks and starting again, is nothing compared to where you'll be. This like, because I've seen this path like 1,000 times already. It's like a formula for me. So you'll be, you know in a much more surprised. You look back, you're like, oh my god, that was me.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be on this journey with you, and thanks for being on it with me.
You're welcome. Okay, I'll chat with you later.
Okay, bye.